Maybe. All right, and then let me share my screen. Just a second. Wherever that is. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. Let me see if I can go full screen on this. Yep. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I know that you're probably like, "Oh crap, what happened?" We've never had an emergency meeting before, and I would not have called an emergency meeting um, unless we really needed it. And so I'm just asking for you guys to come on board and help us sort through some stuff. There's been a whole heap worth of things come down in the last like 3 or 4 days. Some of it we kind of knew about that may be a challenge, and some of it is just news to me that has developed today. So, without further ado, I'm going to change this slide to the next one. So, anyway, I know that emergency sounds kind of crazy, but honestly, we have so many things that we need to dive through, and I just wanted to get input from everybody before we just put it all in a dumpster fire and let it burn. So let's talk about legal structure first. I think that's probably the major one that we need to discuss. So we all kind of know that the way our share program is designed, um, we reward people for being here early. Um, our accountant and my mom's tax advisor has told us in the past that we may have needed to file with the SEC, and we took that under advisement, I guess. And I've been searching for answers from other SEC lawyers and just legal people. Brandon would know one of the legal entities as Anderson Business Advisor, so I asked them, and they gave me a few contacts for SEC lawyers. And then I'm in the Goldman Sachs course, which, by the way, is going insane. And there's a lot of data coming from there. But in there, there's 3 legal advisors, and one of them has a sister that specifically does business law, and then she has an assistant that is very familiar with the SEC, or familiar-ish. So I was on a video call with the lawyer and her assistant today, and during the call, I talked about what we've designed, what we've built over the last year, and the assistant said he can understand what we've designed and what we've built, and he said it looked pretty good, and he felt like it was a pretty cool way to do things. But both of those people advised us that it's not the traditional sense and it's not the traditional way, and that we may need to file with the SEC, and we may need to file each share count um, in each state that somebody lives in that owns some of the shares. And we have to do that each time one of the rewards is made manifest. So what I'm referring to is every time that somebody buys in. So like last time it was Dustin. Um, each person before him got a handful of shares. Well, apparently each time that we do that, those rewards have to be declared in each state of whatever state everybody lives in for whatever reason. Um, so and potentially, right? This is part of the options that or it's part of the unclear stuff that we're trying to grind through. We may also have a position that we can be in a exemption clause, and so we may have an exemption where everything that we do under the company with those shares can be exempt from filing, but we would need to file the exemption, and that's not too difficult to do. Um, and so the money involved to file, we don't really understand what that's going to look like. But they also advised us that we need to get our bylaws straight and some shareholder agreements ready. And they were quoting somewhere around 10,000 to 15,000 to have them put all those documents together. So when I got done chatting with with the lawyers, I just was like, "This is so terrible. I hate dealing with lawyers, anyways, because they just want to charge you their hourly rate, and they can kind of sit on it and go slow. I know most people don't try to do that, but it just sucks because we don't really have the capital to do that. Plus the North Carolina deal, and so we're kind of in a bind." So anyway, there's a lot of unknowns with the legal structure. There's a lot of unknowns with the legal structure, as in we don't know if we've actually done it correctly. The share count is unorthodox at best. Nobody really understands what we're trying to do, other than they say it looks good or it looks nice, right? It's like what nice people would do. So we have some costs that may be incurred with that. Right now, to continue with that set of lawyers is $2,000, and that's just the retainer, and it may like evaporate tomorrow. It could go really fast with that. So we need to figure out what our legal structure looks like, and we'll figure out what we need to do from there. So put that in the back of your minds for legal structure and one of the hurdles that we're in while I continue to talk about the share price structure. Earlier today, we were kind of talking about the share price structure and how when you guys first bought in, we had an arbitrary number of commission that we thought just felt like a nice number to start. Well, apparently every business advisor that I'm speaking with, they are like, "Well, how did you come up with that? It's not a real evaluation. You didn't have a real like evaluator." So many things that, since we just kind of let it ride, apparently wasn't done correctly. So these are things that we're learning as we dive deeper into this business structure. So since we got that arbitrary number and started, you guys may have bought in at a price that is very inflated, which we kind of knew that, but I was trying to structure it in a way that would be deflationary eventually. So there's that caveat. With all the legal structure that we have put together thus far, the share price may be one of those components that null and voids how we've continued or how we've gotten contributions. So now put that in the back of your mind. So we have legal structure, price share, your investments, and just so everybody knows, your money's still safe. We have money that we could pay you back, of course. So just be putting that in the back of your mind, though. None of your money is gone, so it's not like we've declared bankruptcy or anything like that. So the company's still solvent. Okay, let's move to the North Carolina deal. I want to try to just like word vomit everything on you guys, and then we're gonna kind of just drive through it as slowly as and with a front end loader pretty much as we possibly can. So the North Carolina deal right now, and Brandon can probably speak to this a little bit more. It still looks like it's a go. Everything is looking good. The numbers look good still. There are a few caveats to that with our investment that we're able to do. And mainly that pressure is becoming more and more pressurized because of how much legal work we're going to need, that we might not have the investment structure to put into the North Carolina deal. And we are like grinding through a lot of the documents as well to get that pushed through so that both me and my mom, and I think Brandon at the same time, all three people are guarantors of that loan. And so there's a lot of pressure and liability in leveraging that far. And we don't really understand the ramifications of leveraging our personal assets to become company listed into this conglomerate of group for purchasing the North Carolina deal. So Mainly the pressure that I'm feeling for that is coming from the cash flow side of the business. We just might not be able to tap into that with the legal structure because we may just get buried in legal costs. Number two, if we did do something against the SEC and we get a violation and get sued eventually or potentially, we would get buried by that cost, and then it would just pretty much everything would tank. And then third, kind of what I talked about with the share price structure, if the way we did the share price has become null and void, to save all of our relationships, I would rather than us keeping your money, I would rather return it back to you as a, sorry, we kind of screwed up and we've learned, but I want to make sure that you guys are made whole with the investment that you guys did make, so that you don't feel like you got shafted. But if we do that, then we have virtually not enough money to do the North Carolina deal, so we'd kind of have to scrap that. Up next, cash flow. We don't have a real cash flow problem. We are always making money. It just isn't making money as rapidly as we would want to expand to both do the legal entity structure stuff and the North Carolina deal. So we kind of are stuck without some capital. And then as of today, Jacob Whetstone on our staff was supposed to become a broker within our company, open up the Tooele office or the Grantsville office, and take all of the property management clients with him. And we were going to turn those over to him so that he can run them, and we would be getting royalties or a franchise fee, pretty much royalties from him annually or monthly or whatever we determined to do that. As of this morning, he called me and said that he's not going to become a broker, just wants to do the agent stuff. And so now we're going to quickly and as rapidly as possible dissolve the property management section, because I don't want to run it anymore, and we have a very, very big blind spot in liability with that. We do have a company that's willing to take on all of those clients, and we would get a little referral money from it, but it's so minor that it's not even worth tracking. And potentially with that property management side, dissolving it, those clients may return if they wanted to sell the property or buy another property. But I'm not banking on that. So we would almost just say we're flushing that side and getting rid of it completely. So yeah, next slide really fast before I make sure that I haven't hit all the... Okay, yeah. Nope, there's nothing on this slide except questions and comments. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Let's fire away with questions.
Well, just want to jump in before we get too involved in breaking that all down.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about this considering the comments you made a couple weeks ago with knowing that we might not have the full capital to take care of taxes and other things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but from what I remember seeing and knowing that one of the other entities, the Leahys, knowing the amount of capital they're bringing to the North Carolina deal, I'm fairly confident we can drop our investment to $75K easily without an issue, and there still be enough for the entire North Carolina deal overall. Obviously,
nice.
obviously that would affect our shares a little bit, or our distribution. But
Right.
considering that we're going into it as a passive investor to begin with, I think that being in that deal is not only extremely beneficial, but we could hedge our bets a little bit, lower our capital just a little bit, and take that money back, use it for any of these concerns that are popping up now.
Gotcha. I love that idea. So that is a true option there. Yeah, I like that one. All right. What other questions and comments does anybody else have?
So I guess I'll jump in really quick. I've got a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth from fines because I just barely paid my 2020 taxes not too long ago, and
Ouch.
choked down all the fines. And if I would have just not put those off, I probably would have been a better off person. So I mean, I guess my concern is I know Carrie, TJ, and Brandon, you guys are very vested in the North Carolina deal, which looks amazing. 110% looks amazing. But why would we risk being sued, and why wouldn't we get everything squared away legally before we risk losing everything? That's my 2 cents. But I mean, obviously, that's a hell of a lot more conservative than I think we want to be. We've grown exponentially in the last year and a half and change. And maybe this is my opinion. Maybe this is just a speed bump to kind of bring us back to the planet. And if I'm speaking out of turn here, somebody tell me to shut up. But bring us back to the planet, and we slow ourselves down, and then we just really mind our business and go from there. I mean, somebody comment on that, or tell me what you guys are thinking, but I'm not. I don't want to kanks the North Carolina deal by any means. I don't want our business to personally be vulnerable from any aspect whatsoever. I'd love us to be relatively bulletproof.
I totally agree with you. I definitely think we've grown so rapidly that we have done a lot of unorthodox stuff, and so we're definitely like either in need of a speed bump or a like a recalibration, I guess, of where we're at.
My question, just for my understanding and edification, would be, to what extent would we have the vulnerability of being sued, whether it be with respect to the SEC or our legal structure? Because just from my understanding, again, is limited, between our legal structure and our share price, those would be something that would only affect us as the investors, correct?
Yeah, correct. So the legal structure of the business and the share price, and the way we did the shares, the only way we would really lose is if the SEC finds us deep enough that we can no longer operate, and that's where the company would literally fold, like almost overnight. And I don't know what those fines look like either. I've just been told from lawyer people that they're hefty. And I'm like, well, what does hefty mean? And they're like, enough for bankruptcy. And I was like, ew. So I'm not really sure. There's a lot of gray area there on like how big the fines are. And we might not even get fined. The other part of it is, if we fork out the money for the legal aspect to get everything straightened out on that front, and then they still determine that the way we did our share price is not viable, then we're looking at another reorg, and by then there might not be enough money for people to get their initial investment back. So if you're in it to win it and you want to stay and do the legal structure and refigure out everything there, that's one path. I know my mom and I kind of just hammered out some of the options earlier today. And I won't lie, earlier today I just went and hit golf balls because I was like, this is an area that I've just never had so much frustration in 1 week, and so many deadlines saying that we have to get this stuff right away. So Brandon, the deadlines with the North Carolina deal and getting the documents, and so we're kind of behind the curve on that, since we got to get them tomorrow or whatever. And so we don't even have enough time to get the legal aspect straight. So we kind of have to roll the dice with North Carolina anyways, if we're going to do it. And that's all hedging against that's all kind of just, like I said, rolling the dice before we can actually get the legal structure done.
So I have a question. What would bring on somebody suing us? Is it just because the share prices have fluctuated since our initial offer? I mean, that's what I'm confused about, I guess, is
Yeah.
the
So a lawsuit against the business could come from any one of us in this room. I mean, most likely you guys wouldn't, but it could be a lawsuit from any one of us in this room for the share price potentially being an inflated price, and not done in the traditional fashion. But the majority of the liability, in my opinion, is the SEC coming down and saying, you didn't file your share count. You didn't file it in Texas because that's where O9 lives. You didn't file it in Virginia where Brandon lives. You didn't file it in Utah for every person that lives here. And so those fines could add up quickly. The other part of it is the way that we do the share price, where when somebody new comes in and each time a share count goes up, those filings could potentially, they didn't tell us yay or nay, those filings could be a potential new filing each time. So if it's like we bring on 10 grand worth of capital, but we have 7,000 in filing fees, that doesn't really leverage us to continue the growth.
So I have another stupid question. And I don't know if an affidavit is the right terminology here, but what if we make all the shareholders pretty much just say, hey, look, you want to continue from this point on, you sign this saying you will not sue the company, period, dot, here it is. You don't want to sign this. Hey, it's been, and like I said, maybe I'm speaking out of terms again, but going from this point forward, you won't sue us because of the situation that was just explained. And if you don't want to sign this, then it's been real and it's been fun. Thanks for participating, and let's part ways as good friends, if you will. And here's your money, and we move forward. And then maybe in the future, we put a cap on what a minimum cap on what we allow to invest. Because like you said, if it's, yeah, we'll take 10 grand, but it's 7 grand to file, and, we're netting 3 grand, it just ain't worth it.
Right. No, I totally agree. And in the bylaws and the shareholder agreements, that's what could come out of getting that with the lawyer. And that's the 10 to 15,000 that we kind of have to swallow. And there are some ways that we can actually cut costs and still do the legal aspect and still be protected there, and still be able to do the North Carolina deal at 100 grand. We just have to be all okay with the liability potential that we may do enough legal aspect and still figure out that we did it completely wrong and still need to do restructuring from there, and however much more we may speculate against the lawyer costs. So it's, in a nutshell, we have a lot of things to kind of roll the dice on, I guess.
So allow me to be a stick in the mud again.
Okay.
What do we have to lose if we let North Carolina property go?
I think we would lose some valuable relationships that we've built. We would look terrible, in my opinion, which I don't mind looking terrible if it's for the right reasons. I still feel like we would be passing up a great opportunity. And Brandon can back us up with the numbers about looking good on paper. Some of the liability that we have, and my mom and I talk about it and discuss it all the time, with us not really knowing those people, and then how much personal leverage and guarantorship, or whatever you want to call that, against that business loan kind of puts both me and my mom, and potentially Brandon, I don't know how much you have to guarantee against that loan, but it puts us into an area where we just have never been there before, and none of us really understand the ramifications of being hooked up to a $3 million deal with a $2.8 million balance, and a $16,000 mortgage payment that 8 people are responsible for, or 9 people, or whatever it is.
So, I mean, I guess my rebuttal to that, and I'm sticking the mud again, is, let's say we do get whacked with horrible fines and we're wrapped up in the North Carolina deal, and then we have to file, what is the Chapter 10 for companies, bankruptcy. That's how bad would we look at that point?
Most of it would look pretty bad. The investors that are in here, not hooked to the guaranteed loan on the SBA side for the North Carolina deal, you guys would be good. Otherwise, I mean, other than your money being gone, um, the three of us, me, my mom, and Brandon, potentially could have huge ramifications against that. Which I'm okay with, right? Like, I'm not sitting here saying I'm not ready to take those on. It's just an area that I have never been in before. And it's just part of growing bigger, right? Like, we've gotten to the point where we're in the not big boy leagues, but we're like in the minor leagues, you know? I mean, we're not slinging $30 million deals, but we're not slinging like 200K houses either, so. Side note, really fast, since we've had an accountant for the last 2.5 years and a tax advisor, on paper, our company is looking much, much stronger. So, like, for going to banks, we're going to be looking awesome in the future. So, like, we're getting more and more controlled. We're getting more and more deliberate about how we do business. And so, communicating that to bankers, I think, is going to get easier and easier. Right now, we're just kind of like trying to sift through the share count that I built, you know. So that's where I'm kind of wondering what you guys want to do about that. I know that we want to find out from the legal staff what that actually entails. When I left that conversation, at the end of it, I told them, because they were trying to put us into a box, you know, and really trying to say, these are the things that typically happen. And I said, I want you to broaden your mind and stop going into a box and try to keep the original design as best we can. Like, if we get to a fork in the road or a brick wall and they say there is no way to do this plan anymore, then sure, maybe we'll scrap it. But I tried to leave it in their hands of, don't be so finite about fitting us into a box. Let's find something that can work and facilitate this structure. Because I literally told them, like, it came to me in the middle of the night. I wrote it down, went to bed again, and then woke up and looked at it again. And so I feel confident that it's not just me coming up with it. I think that it's a great way to do business. So I try to convince them that we need to search for options and not be so black and white about normal ops, right? During that, real quick, they were talking about all the fees and everything that might be involved, and the way they said it just made it sound big. And I said, well, maybe before we sign any of this stuff, we need to figure out what that actually looks like. They obviously won't do any work without a retainer. That's that $2,000 like I talked about. So they always want their money to do anything. I mean, they gave us 20 minutes on a Zoom call for free. Otherwise, that would have cost us $300 or whatever. But anyway, they talk about it like being a huge number. But if the filing fee is like $50 in each state, I mean, we can do that. It's not that bad, and then we can continue on the way we want to.
Yeah, so that's where I was gonna kind of have my question, going along the same lines of how Zach put it earlier. When it comes to this filing structure and the legal structure, technically, it all comes down to the people in this room. We all agreed at the beginning. We liked how this business was going down. We agreed to it, and we wanted to push forward with it. If the fines are solely based off of, you know, if we didn't file something appropriately, I can understand that. But at this point, no one is telling us that what we have done is illegal. It's just, as you mentioned, unorthodox. So,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Correct.
So, okay.
Sorry, hold on real quick. It is correct. Nobody has told us it was illegal, but nobody is from the SEC yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. But it's a good question. I mean, or a good comment. Like, I totally agree with you. Only the people in here would kind of dictate that, the outside look, I guess.
Yeah, understood. Yeah,
So
then the next big step there is like really getting the no kidding what's going on an SEC side of the house. So
Yes,
copy.
exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And
so I'm
that's,
just sorry, TJ, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that's kind of the fork that was presented this morning, or not the fork, but it was really the you're not doing anything normal, and so we need to like research, learn, or whatever they were talking about, and then they need to draft the bylaws and shareholder agreements and whatever. They had another kind of option that could put us into one of the box that's like an exemption box, and it was all like building an employee share rewarding system, so we could still kind of operate the way we do, but it would be in a completely different share class. And I didn't like any of that, so I was like, well, it's not employees, it's like it's outside entities, it's inside entities, so there's a lot of factors that they were trying to like squish it down, and I was like, none of that fits, so you need to like stop talking about that.
So I'm super doing this flyover really quick, and I'm on the SEC's website. I don't know if anybody else. I mean, but filing fee is $92.70 as of October 1st, 2021, all the way to 9/30/2022. It's $97.70 per $1 million in shares.
Sweet. Well, that's something that nobody has talked about. Yeah, that's not that big.
I mean, even if we had to do that every single state, what we're 3 states,
Yeah.
and okay, so my next question is I guess, can we deal with the SEC on a first-hand basis? Do we need a lawyer? Kind of like dealing with the IRS by yourself. Do we want to risk dealing with the SEC by ourselves, or do we need to drop, 15K on a lawyer so we expedite it, or do we all grab an oar and help each other? My 2 cents with that, yeah. So I just want to throw that out there with fees. $92.70 per million shares, $1 million in shares.
Right.
So after talking
Oh, go ahead.
with someone that's very close to us, that's a lawyer, she mentioned that it's not likely that we would be hit with a lot of fees, a lot of, hand slaps because we weren't created correctly yet. We hadn't filed all of the documents. They're still going to give us time to set it up. She didn't feel like that it would be a problem to get moving on structuring how we want it to go and then set it up that way. But probably, yeah, we would want the attorney to sign off on it.
Okay. And I mean, can we like everybody else says, can we bang the COVID drum? Yeah.
Potentially. I don't know. It's all gray area. Well, let's talk about options then, because I feel like the consensus in here, I haven't really heard a throw it in a dumpster and burn it right now, and like give me my money, I'm out kind of scenario. So thank you so much for that, by the way. I half contemplated, or not contemplated, but I half kind of thought up that I would come in and just vomit all this stuff on you guys, and then it would be like you would scurry out like like I don't know, little cockroaches or something. But I'm just glad that I haven't heard that, so I want to say thanks. So let's talk about options then. I feel like option 1. Well, I don't even know if it's option like 1, 2, or 3. This is like the way I see it right now, moving forward.
Hey, TJ.
Yeah, shoot it.
I have 2 or 3 probably stupid questions. Pretty
Okay.
easy.
Yeah.
First question, you made it clear about the FCC, the legal structure, which, okay, we haven't figured that out, but I understand what you're asking or telling us.
Mm-hmm.
What is the legal part of the North Carolina deal? Are we talking 2 separate things, or are we talking the same thing?
It's the only part of the legal side of the North Carolina deal is me and my mom and Brandon. I don't know how much paperwork you got to do, but we got to hump through the documents tomorrow to get those in on time to the lending institution that's going to underwrite the deal, and then we should be good there. So legal structure for the company as a C corp, we're all good there. The only reason I wrote legal structure for that piece is that we need to get honest bylaws and shareholder agreements, which is pretty much just under that umbrella of legal structure. But as a C corp, as of filing last year, April 15th, which is kind of wonky too, because there's several investors in here that gave their money before that. So we're kind of like snapshotting your money to April 15th so that we can make it not so convoluted that you gave us money before we were actually a C corp. But yeah, to answer your question, the legal structure and the North Carolina deal, there isn't a legal structure issue for that one. It's just us trying to pump through the documents and get those in on time tomorrow by 5 or something. Hopefully they'll give us some time. I haven't touched them yet.
And that's for the loan documents, so nothing to do
Correct.
with structure. Yeah.
I didn't know if there was like anything legal, because like Zach was saying, why risk anything? But I hear you. And then the second thing, I just wanted to make a comment. I don't know how the FCC works. You know, what little I do know, like Zach was saying, man, if people need to sign something or whatever we need to do, I think we're more than in our rights, you know, to say, yeah, I know what I was doing and I'm good with it.
Okay. Well, sweet. Then I
That's
really I appreciate you, because that makes me feel a lot better than I felt earlier today. Earlier today, I was like, boy, I have like really royally messed this up, and it's all my friends.
We still love you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
Well,
it.
you're not getting on here like an Enron CEO and be like, bro, it's gone.
Right. Hey, all your money's gone. I can literally show you. We have plenty of funds.
Hey, something that we haven't talked about is we do have an asset. So I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but
Yeah, we did buy a rental property at the end of the year. I think we mentioned that on not the last meeting, but the one before that. So we did buy an asset last year, all cash, that we could leverage, and I have a contact that I've already chatted with about leveraging that. Before we actually leverage any of it, though, we need the legal structure and the bylaws so that, like, let's say in Brandon's case, he's going to sign on the North Carolina deal and most likely will sign without any of this other legal stuff figured out. And so on the Missouri property, if we want to leverage that one, hopefully we've already stepped through the bylaws and the shareholder agreements so that we can actually dictate what powers people have and things like that. So, but yes, we do have one that's worth 200 grand. Since we did buy it last year, right at the end of the year, we got to fully depreciate it for that year. So that was nice. I think it depreciated at like 12,000 or 13,000, something like that. And those are the like financial side. I have so many financial statements and stuff. So when we actually get the bylaws together and the shareholder agreements, and then we figure out how to get through that, and then I'll hold like another meeting with like a class on how to read what our financial statements look like. Unless you guys already know how to read them, then I can just send them to you, or I'll make it a live link so you guys can just click on it anytime. Which is something that I'm trying to work on with our accountant, is having access to the Dropbox for our business partners so that you can always just kind of shoot in there and look at the link and see what we're up to. Check the balance statement, check our cash flow, our income statement, everything that you'd want to look at for your investment and see where it's at. I want to make that available to you, bankers, new investors, everyone. Okay. So like I said, what I'm looking at is we need to push through the legal structure of the bylaws, shareholder agreements. I definitely think we should do the $2,000 retainer. And then whatever it is on top of that, I'll try to bring you as much information as possible afterwards. And then I guess if it's going to be 10 grand or 15 grand, that's just something that we're going to have to stomach. Oh, look. Hi, Mitz. Oh, okay. She's going to go get my kids, or two of them. So we'll push through the legal structure. I will hire them. I'll do the $2,000 retainer. Then we'll get more information about that, about what the actions that we need to push through on that are. We'll start looking at the cost and how much they invoice per hour, and see how fast the money goes. Something that I'm going to do is like put a full stop on the media coordinator right now. So they're kind of in shambles right now anyways, and their company imploded and a bunch of their people left. And oh, bye 09. I'll text him later. Actually, let me just text him and say bye. Oh, let's see. Oh, he's got to leave and go eat birthday cake. It's his daughter's birthday. Yay. Okay. So, like I said, we'll push through that, and I'm putting a full stop on the media side. Like I said, I will cancel all the ad space that we have out there. So that'll be anything on Facebook, anything on TikTok, anything on Google Ads, which I think most of it's canceled anyways. I just need to go back and verify. And then on the money that we're spending on other marketing actions like the state fair or anything like that, we've already paid for half of the state fair this year, and we've paid for half of FitCon for next year. So I actually won't pay for any of those until we know where we're at and how we're standing with the cash account. Obviously we're still going to do the dividend, but it's like as soon as the 100 grand goes out for the North Carolina deal, your dividend's probably going to be like $8. It's probably already like $3 anyway. So, it won't make 2 cents of beans whether or not we actually still do it. I still want to run it because I think that it's a fun thing to do. That cash flow is so minuscule compared to what our expenses are, that it just won't make any difference. One of the other expenses, to hit on what Zach was talking about right when he got in, was a firing scenario. We do have a ton of non-performers on our staff, and most of those are going to get cut. And that way I can actually pump down the amount of cost that we pay Google for their email, and things like that. Oh, my phone just jumped on when I said that. And then also along with that, that will stop the .loop side so that we can actually turn that down a little bit as well. And then I'm going to start with this Goldman Sachs class. I'm going to actually be surveying our staff, the ones that stay, hopefully, after I go in and just wreak havoc on who's not performing. And I'm going to start surveying everyone and seeing what things that we are offering everyone. If we're offering too much in an area or too little in an area, I really want to fix that. And then along with that, hopefully we can figure out what is the thing that people really want on our staff, so that we can make sure we're providing only that, and very much, or we can get rid of all the things that are kind of fluffy. So that'll help us in the cost department, and that should keep us afloat for quite a while. And as we also dissolve the property management side, there's some cost that we have involved with the property management side that's not high, but it is a cost. And when we get it dissolved and hopefully have all of the clients moved off starting June 1, then we'll have a little bit less in that cost. And then there is a piece of funding that is in the property management account that is just completely separate from the sales side. I'll just move that to the operating side and close all of the other business accounts that are there, and that'll pick us up maybe 6,000-7,000 or something. Okay, now that I've word vomited more, what comments or questions do you have? And Zach, your job is safe, so you don't have to think you're getting fired.
I figured I might as well take a stab at you. You know, somebody's
Yeah.
got to keep you honest, right?
Right.
Like your
Also,
wife doesn't do that already.
yeah, true. Also, Karen, your job is safe with us as well.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. I was a little concerned.
Nope, you're totally good. It's people that have fallen off the face of the planet, and I will just cut them. They can find another place to hang their license, and most of them never respond back. So they'll actually get a 10-day deliverable letter from the division, like, boom, your license is no longer valid. So good luck to them. I mean, I hate being a butthole, but you know, this is business.
So, never mind.
Yeah, ask it. What's up? This is a safe space. You can say whatever you want,
No.
unless it's Dustin's beard's no good.
I have a history of putting my foot in my mouth professionally, so I guess just to put a pretty bow on everything, we're gonna pursue the retainer and the North Carolina deal, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't call me
Yep.
sir. You know better.
That's fair. That's my karate instructor coming out in me. He
Okay.
talks about it all the time. But yes.
So the other thing I just wanted to say is, I mean, I know the three of you, meaning TJ, Brandon, and Carrie, have more vested in it than the rest of us. And, you know, going forward from this point with the North Carolina deal, whatever you guys are comfortable with, I'm comfortable with, because you guys obviously have got a lot more skin in the game than I do and a few other people do. So I'm game.
Sweet.
I agree with that comment too. So
Awesome. On that note, real quick, Brandon, do you have the same time requirement on your docs for tomorrow that we do?
Yes, from what I was seeing, I was gonna try to get them all in by tomorrow.
Okay.
But I believe most of the business-related documents and/or data that they were requesting, we had already submitted. I think it was more so, at least we're carrying on the personal financial statement, the personal resume,
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. Well, on that note, I should be contacting Tiffany in the morning, and or Alan, whoever's working it, and then working with my mom to make sure that all of the docs look good, and then we'll just circle back to you if they have any questions about those. But you are correct. I had filed most of the business side stuff earlier, and so there's not a whole lot of effort that I think we need to put into the docs. One of my other concerns is that we just don't have any of the legal entity bylaws and stuff all figured out for that deal either with the conglomerate that's purchasing it. And so,
Yeah, so actually, I just spoke with one of the attorneys I was looking into today. I have another call with the other one on Friday.
okay, cool.
So for everybody's awareness, as of right now, it shouldn't, with the formation of the entity for the joint venture, as well as actually, in case we haven't updated everybody else, one of the other entities is the investment that they're bringing is solely based off of a 1031 exchange. And because of that structure, that is forcing them to be a tenant in common. So basically, the buyers of this property, of this deal, are going to be them, their one entity, and then our JV made up of the other 5 entities,
Interesting.
because of the level of their investment.
Gotcha.
Now, I spoke with the attorney today, and he understood that concept, and he was good with that. He did make a very good point, though, which I believe we brought up in our conversations with the deal with the other business partners, but that we hadn't really vetted. Yes, there will be a JV agreement, entity operating agreement, business structure, all that fun stuff with the 5 entities under the JV. But we have to then figure out what type of formal agreement is going to be made between the JV and their entity as the tenant in common. So that's one thing
Gotcha.
that I'll bring up to the team at our next call, either this weekend or next Monday,
Okay.
to really formalize what that's going to look like. Now, with that, I believe we're looking pretty good, and it's going to be a fairly standard process for building that and pulling together that JV deal, or sorry, the JV agreement and the operating agreement that goes into it, because it's going to be a fairly standard agreement. The only thing that we would need to customize would basically be the distributions, the voting rights, all that fun stuff, making sure that everybody is in agreement with how it's being divvied. And then on that same note, though, again, going back to the conversation this evening, we still can, and I believe we can easily drop our investment down to say 75,000 or so, 80 to 75, save a little bit to have in reserve for any additional expenses that come up. I really, it may affect some things here or there, but considering that we're still putting together the documentation, I think dropping that by 15 to 25,000 really isn't going to make won't be too much of an issue in the paperwork process for closing.
Gotcha.
So if everybody agrees that they think they would feel more comfortable in dropping our investment down, so that we at least know we have a little bit of wiggle room, I definitely think we can talk to Chris and the team about doing that.
Right now, I think we will be okay. Like if I had to take a stab in the dark at it, we have quite a few closings that'll happen, and then that extra property management money, like I talked about, should bring us up to where I would feel confident that we could eat all the legal costs. Because I can actually just watch what they're invoicing, and if they're like, hey, we're about to invoice 25 hours or something, and I'm like, no, let's not do that, then we can put the brakes on that. I think we should be okay. I think we'll actually, it's going to be dicey if we start running into a lot of legal costs, and that's where potentially we could bring in just an extra little bit of capital or something, but to float along. But I also feel like I said, the commissions from closings that are about to happen, we should be okay. So I think staying at the $100,000, I like that better because it'll just keep it original. Nobody in the North Carolina deal needs to know that we're like tight, and it wouldn't bring up any red flags for them. Hopefully that we're not as solvent as what they would want.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Right now, I was just going to log in real quick and tell everybody what's in there, just so I can make sure that everyone has it for situational awareness or something. So stand by.
Hey, Zach, when you were looking at the SEC information, is there anything on there that's like something filing for dummies or anything like that?
Let me get back to the website.
I mean, it'd be awesome if we could put something together, at least have more of a breakdown or kind of go over what we want and then send it to the attorney so they're not just drafting from the beginning.
So I was perusing the website, just looking at fines and a few other things like that. Looking at enforcement. Let me click. There's a bunch of different tabs on here. I mean, I can snoop around.
Maybe if you would, and then you can even just send us an email, like what you found or anything like that.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay.
Yeah, I can definitely look around.
Okay.
Sweet. We can probably also do that with the bylaws and the shareholder agreements. That might be something that we could work on. Currently, there's $128,400 in the operating account, plus about $9,600 in the bonus account, which is still cash for us, but I would try to use it for the bonus. And then $8,200, so I was a little off on that for the property management operating account. So as soon as I scrap all that and we get the property management side dissolved, that'll put us up to 137,000, something like that.
Fair enough. And TJ, for looking up examples examples of different documentation, I know Anderson Advisors has an entire library of documents and forms that we can plumage, not plumage. What's the word? Anyway, we can dig through that.
How about peruse?
Peruse, yeah.
Yeah.
Digest.
Digest, all those fun words.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's several on there that we can definitely look through. We can try to find one of those.
I think that could help and save cost.
Yeah, could definitely help. I think it'll make us all more aware of what we have to go through. And hopefully it would cut cost, because maybe we can just draft a bare bones version of it of what we want, and then see, like, here, tweak this at $400 an hour. Yeah, I like that. Any last reattacks?
Hopefully we were able to help put you at ease, because I would understand that if all this happened up in basically the last day or two, you were probably you were being nice about it, but I'm sure you were stressing a bit.
Yeah.
Can I say thank you to everyone for that nobody jumped down his throat. I mean, it's all a learning process. I mean, we've never done this before. And I mean, TJ's ideas are amazing. We just have to get attorneys to agree to that. So
yeah, and TJ,
I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, Carrie absolutely agreed on that. But also, TJ, I want to foot stomp your leadership as well. I'm glad you weren't, taking the attorneys for their word and making them put us in the box that we don't necessarily want to be in. So
Right.
I'm glad you were sticking to your guns.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Rarely do I wake up and don't want to be a realtor. Today I was like, wow, this is pretty heavy. Almost said, I'm just going to drive to St. George and just play golf, and everybody can just divvy out the money, forget about it. But we're feeling much better now. And so I appreciate that from everybody. I do think that our company is very special. I think we've designed something that everybody can kind of latch onto. We are creating a lot of opportunity for growth for a lot of people. Like, we've created enough cash flow and income for some people on our staff that's life changing. And so I'll never try to walk away from that lightheartedly, right? Because I feel like that we are changing people's lives. So now we just get to figure out all the legal crap.
So I have an idea with the North Carolina property. Let's wait until we close. We find all the other investors and just kill them.
Oh my gosh. This on recording.
See, this is why we can't record this. You said speak my mind.
Right? This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. Now we have motive, right? Way to go,
Right.
Zach.
Yep. Way to go, Zach. Jeez.
I'm gonna mute my microphone now.
Yeah. Go muted. Yeah. So on that last note, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of you, your time, your energy, your capital, your willingness to stick it out. And hopefully we'll come up with a really strong solution to move forward. Part of the crucial timing and all the things that were just kind of crashing down was honestly, part of it was Jacob Whetstone walking away from wanting to be a broker, because in this Goldman Sachs course, our growth opportunity was to open the Tooele location, and now I have to start from square one on that. And so in a class that's a third of the way through, and now I am virtually back to square one with 6 weeks or 8 weeks to go. Just feels kind of like now we got to start over. So anyway, it was just a piece of that. I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear about where we are, where we're headed. All right. Well, like I said, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all of you, and if there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn, and I'll make all the appropriate arrangements for everything we talked about.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you, Carrie.
You're very welcome.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, you're
You're
very welcome.
welcome.
And please let us know if you need assistance with anything.
Okay, we'll do. I really think the assistance is going to come from everybody kind of tracking down what the SEC stuff looks like and the bylaws and shareholder agreements. So, and not everybody, right? Like everybody doesn't need to take the horn on that, but like trying to get familiar with it. So when we put it in front of you, it looks like something that you would want to sign, or I don't know how they actually do that. So if everybody signs, great. If it's like a voting thing and we do it live and everybody puts their hand up or whatever, or we say 3 Hail Marys or something, whatever. Okay. Well, as always, I love you guys. I think we got something special here, so I'll always try to do my best and put the company first.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Have a good
All
night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night. See you.